Virtuoso was not doing as well as her counterparts. The tiny Indian girl Caution and Virtuoso just seemed to be very different people. Caution had a 6 intelligence and liked to talk science and little else. Her power to cause fear didn't exactly make her likable. Virtuoso tried harder to find a common reference of some kind. During conversation, Caution let it slip that she used her power to manipulate probability fields on Darkspeed. She was to ensure he didn't notice the hard illusion in front of him until it was too late. It was an important part of their plan to take out First Team's leader and First Team's anchor first. Virtuoso asked Caution why they wanted to get Midas first too. Caution explained that their coach called him the wild card. His power can do too much. Midas sat next to Ion and found the 13-year-old liked to talk about sports. Midas had never given much thought to sports, but just last week, Olympian had been explaining European football to him. Midas tried to discuss something else, anything else, but sports kept coming up. Midas decided they could talk football. Ion seemed to really like this, and the two seemed to have a decent time talking. Olympian and Eclipse carried to the dinner table the same competitive exchange. This time it was who read more comic books, then who knew more about superheroes, who had met the most superheroes, who was better at video games, and finally, who could eat more. Other team members looked on in awe as the two young hitters kept eating plate after plate of food. As people started to leave, she made her way to the kitchen and requested sushi. First team waited for her, so they could all walk back together. The sun was setting golden over the desert in the west. Most members of First Team were happy that they didn't have homework and could enjoy the evening. Darkspeed was not enjoying himself. The loss in the pit festered in his mind. He kept thinking over and over in his mind how things could have been different, what he should have had the team do. Ideas of what could have been cooked in his brain. On arriving back in First Team common room, she announced, "I have a collection of videos of my father, Shogun, in his greatest battles. Some were caught by news crews and some caught by bystanders. Either way, the video is pretty good." "How good can a bystander video be?" Olympian asked. She giggled. "Buddy, you've never been to Tokyo. We have the best electronics, and I have sushi. I couldn't eat another bite if my life depended on it," Olympian said as he plopped in the center couch facing the big flat screen. "Did you win?" Virtuoso asked. "Draw. The coach has cut us off." Olympian kept shifting about, trying to make his packed stomach comfortable. Darkspeed headed to his room. "I'm going to turn in for the night." "Hey, don't take this too hard. It could have been worse," Olympian said. "How could it have been worse?" "Jacob," Olympian said, using Darkspeed's real name. "Superhero rule number 2. It can always get worse." "What's number 1? Midas asked. "Expect the worst," she said. "Yeah, great. I'll see you all in the morning for gravity suit torture in the pit." Darkspeed blinked in his room and the conversation was over. "He's taking this pretty bad," Bioforce said. "Darkspeed is the leader. Success or failure is all his," she said. "So, who's up for mayhem in Tokyo?" "Sounds like a winner." "What kind of sauce is this green stuff? Does it go with the sushi?" Midas asked. "Yeah, it's like Japanese ketchup. You're supposed to slather it all over the sushi," Olympian said. Midas looked at She, who was keeping a poker face. "My first tip-off is that John here is never that helpful. What is this stuff?" "It's like hot sauce. A little bit is all you need," she said. Midas and the others nibbled on the sushi while they watched Shogun and his team on the big flat screen. Shogun's fighting style was much like She's, only there were no red harnesses. For over an hour, the Alphas watched Shogun lead his team to victory time and time again. One particular fight had Shogun and a villain fighting on top of a building. He was winning the fight toe-to-toe with what looked like a hitter. A second villain, a flyer that shot force bolts, attacked him from behind. One bolt hit Shogun in the back, knocking him into the hitter. Both of them fell off the roof. Shogun, not a flyer, fought and punched the first villain on the way to the streets below. The flying villain was in pursuit, firing at Shogun and the hitter villain. At the last second, Shogun maneuvered both feet onto the hitter villain, and they struck the ground with Shogun crouching on the stunned hitter. He leapt straight up at the flying villain, who was still firing. Following them to the ground, the flyer was too close to avoid the ballistic Shogun. She's father ended the fight midair. "Your dad hit that guy all the way down. That was cool," Midas said. "Could your father have been a hitter?" Olympian asked. "He's not quite strong enough for that," she answered. "Then how was he able to beat down that hitter?" "His level 10 force field hugs him along the lines of his armor. It protects him. Plus, he's pretty tough anyway." The way I use my repulsion power to hit is like an infant next to him. I have to accelerate my power over a distance. His power is like an explosion on his knuckles. My father is very dangerous up close. I wish I had his power. She sounded sad when she said that. What makes you think you won't? Bioforce asked. My father was very powerful at my age, and his power kept growing into adulthood. I scanned you and your father. Your powers are more alike than you may think. Your mother is where you get the invisibility, inaudibility, and smarts. Your powers are just taking longer to come online. Really? She looked like someone just told her something wonderful. If you get to where you can fight like him, I'll be impressed, Olympian said. If any of us get to fight like him, I'll be impressed, Virtuoso said. Oh, I almost forgot. Shogun's coming here Saturday. He's coming to teach an enrichment on martial arts, she said upbeat. After seeing this, I'm so there, Olympian said. The door to first team's common room opened and Connor stepped in. He was carrying a white board, 3 feet by 5 feet, and a tripod folded up. Is Darkspeed in his room? Connors asked as he walked toward them. Yeah, he's upset for the loss, Midas said. Shush, Olympian said. What? Midas said. You make it sound like he was pouting. Olympian turned to Connors and continued. He just wanted to be alone. He wasn't complaining or anything. That's fine. What are you watching? Connors asked. Shogun fights, Midas said. Footage from Japan of my father's fights, she said. Did you teach him to fight like that? Olympian asked. He had some of those moves when he came here. I just polished him. Well, he shines up real nice, Bioforce said. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Not that it puts any pressure on you, she. Connors said as he walked to Darkspeed's door and knocked. It's Connors. Are you decent? The door opened and Darkspeed poked his head out. Is there something you need, Coach? I want to talk to you in your room. Darkspeed opened the door wide for Connors, who came in with his cargo in hand. What's with all this stuff? It's for you. Something to help you work on your team's strategies. Thanks, but I was just using a notepad to scribble on. Darkspeed motioned over to a stack of notes and diagrams, 3 inches thick. Write at super speed, do you? Connors didn't wait for an answer. Here, help me set this up. Darkspeed quickly set up the legs of the tripod. I appreciate it, but I don't think I need it. Then just humor me and keep it set up. Here, I even brought you markers. Connors reached into his pocket and pulled out several markers that he started placing on the lip of the white board. Okay, I'll keep it. I just don't think I'll use it. You never know. Look, I'll even write on it first. Connors took a blue marker and wrote in large letters across the front. Never alone. There. The Heroes Union motto. Now it's blessed. That's probably all that will be written on it, Darkspeed said with attitude. Connors smiled some weird knowing smile. You're losing your sense of humor too quick. If I were a betting man, I would say things will get worse before they get better. That's not encouraging. Encouraging isn't part of my job description. I will give you one hint. Victory will be found in knowing your team. It won't be found in your bedroom. Connors headed out of his room without saying goodbye. After Connors shut the door, Darkspeed threw his hands down and looked up. I need a coach and I get a riddle. And a big stupid white board, Darkspeed said. Connors walked over to the other members of First Team still watching Shogun fight. If you like this stuff, I have some archive footage of fights that you can't find anywhere. The alphas perked up. Sure, we'd love that, she said. Good, I'll see what I can dig up. Make sure you get to bed at a decent hour. Connors started heading out of the room. Olympian was out of his seat and following close. Coach, can I talk to you for a second? Sure, what's on your mind? Connors stopped and faced Olympian.